Why you still do hood shit, bro?
That's where I came from. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm.
Like the shit that happened like years ago and shit, like that shit just like, you can't forget that shit. Like you can't get that shit out your head.
Don't you feel like that will hold you back at a certain point?
It's just like, it take time.
Yeah.
It take time to like get that shit. Like I had to adapt to my environment for real. Like I be around like millionaires and fucking niggas that never been in the hood before, so I had to just adapt like to the environment. But shit, like I know how to turn that shit on, turn that shit off. But at the end of the day, like if a nigga walking behind me, I'm feeling that shit. I'm turning around. I'm like, a nigga ain't just gonna like walk behind me or just like touch me and I'm just not gonna feel like no type of way type shit.
Damn. So you get paranoid from that. Like basically like
yeah, like even when I was like, when I did some time and shit, and it was like niggas was slamming the lockers and like that shit was driving me crazy for the first like 3 months.
Why was it driving you crazy?
Cause like it's like kind of like gunshots. Like a nigga slam the locker, it like get you like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And niggas was doing that shit, or a nigga walk past me or walk close to me and shit. Like in jail, niggas used to be talking to therapists. Never outside.
Shit, huh? Yeah.
Never outside of that shit. But no, I was just doing that shit like niggas that do that shit to get meds in there and shit. That's the only reason you would talk to a therapist in that bitch. Other niggas then there needed to talk to a therapist. I feel like I be cool and shit. I don't fuck with nobody. I kind of like stay out of niggas' way, stay out of niggas' face, so I don't like cause no problems.
You said when your pop passed away, you started taking perks. So like, why not talk to somebody to deal with what you're dealing with rather than using substance? Because I don't take away what you're feeling, right?
It's just like being young, man. Being young, like niggas just get to like experimenting with their body and shit like that. But like my pops like didn't like that shit. He used to not fuck with that shit. He used to just be like before he died, he had never let me do that shit. Like, bro, that's heroin. Don't do that shit. Don't drink no lean. Don't do none of that shit. So it was just like after he died, it was like he gone. So what the fuck could he say? Type shit. Like,
do you remember exactly what happened?
Yeah, he was at work and shit. Like he worked. So like he'd fuck around and like I don't know if he had like a heart attack or some shit, but he fell. And it was like he was conscious when he fell, but it was like they never knew what the fuck. Like he died at the hospital and shit. So I felt like the hospital like tried to kill him or some shit like that, or didn't give a fuck. Cause I don't know if anybody pulled up ASAP, but like by the time everybody pulled up, he was dead. But he was fully conscious when he fell, so nobody really knew. But they said like he had a tumor on his heart and shit like that. But it was nothing wrong with him.
Yeah.
Like before he died.
Do you remember when you got that phone call? Like, how did you feel in that moment?
Like my mama called me and she was like, "Yo, dad in the hospital. You should go see him." I'm hustling and shit. I'm like, he good. I'm just pulling up in the back of our house. I'm like, he good. Like he should be good. We men type shit.
Wow.
And she just kept calling me. She was like, "Let's go pull up to the fucking hospital." So I finally pull up, and then they say he was dead. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm confused as hell. I leave ASAP after they said that shit though.
Yeah.
Like,
why did you leave? You just couldn't stomach it?
Yeah, I was just pissed. But I just left. Like I couldn't really cry in front of my family and shit like that. Like I ain't like sometimes like I feel like that should just be too much.
What,
like
crying?
Gathering and crying and shit like that.
Yeah. What about confronting or comforting? I can't say certain words, but what about comforting your mom, man? Like you didn't think to do that?
My mom couldn't make it, but my grandma was there. Okay. Shit like that.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't see them crying either. Like I couldn't see that shit, and I couldn't see him. I didn't want to see him
in that situation. Yeah, and I understand that.